can be only one podcast, and may it be the Prince of the Universe. Hi, folks. I'm Matt.
And I'm Wes.
It's still Saturday morning.
No, it's not. No, it's not. We just invited you here again. Welcome back.
Thank you for letting me come back.
Welcome back. I'm telling you.
Okay. I'm happy to be here.
So we did this last year, actually. Did you go last year?
I did.
We did this last year. A podcast.
Comic-Cons last year?
Yes, they did.
Wow.
And Wes went. So we got a report on it. It's a different Comic-Con you went to this year, you said.
No, it's Dallas.
No. I mean a different feel
Different feel.
than last year.
Well, it was COVID last year.
Yes, because there were many more humans.
Right. So go ahead. I'm going to give you the floor.
Oh, okay.
Tell us about your experience, and then we'll probably talk a little bit about Comic-Cons ourselves.
Well, my experience at Comic-Con was probably 3 times as many people as it was last year.
And you went with?
I went with our good friend Heath,
Yep.
who was asleep, and our good friend Brandon, who's at work.
Did Heath burn that 9 p.m. oil to stay up?
I don't know what he burned.
Oh, goodness.
And then we went with another friend of ours named Danny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it was the 4 of us in a Honda van.
That sounds...
A lot
Right
of
on.
beef
There you go.
jerky.
There. Hey,
Finally answered that age-old Burger King question of
Done.
where's the beef?
there it is.
In this Honda.
It's in
Yes.
the van.
Okay.
Okay. So, how was the trip?
The trip was good. We stayed at the Omni where the convention is held. So
Oh, that's
that
nice.
helps.
Always a good choice. Yeah.
Always
Convenient.
a good choice, yep. So, yeah, the biggest takeaway was a lot more people. Lines were very, very long.
Typical pre-pandemic con.
I went in 2019, and it was more than it was then. It was.
Oh, wow.
It
What's
was-
the name of this con?
It's Dallas.
just
Dallas
Comic-
Comic Con.
Okay.
Yeah, I just felt like that. You could tell that people were so ready to be out, and there was a lot going on. And Saturday,
Morning.
yeah, close,
Sorry.
and you jumped your cue. The trash was just overflowing. It was like the Woodstock documentary.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
you
Where
told me
they
they couldn't
could
keep
not-
up.
they could
Sanitation
not-
could not
yeah,
keep
it
up.
was
And it started
just-
getting really.
Well,
Yeah.
they sell these tickets ahead of time. You know how many people are coming. Like,
Right, and they said we can fit them all in here.
Wow.
sausage
So
indeed.
yes, sausage, a lot of sausage at this
It
thing.
was great.
Yeah. It was possibly sponsored by Jimmy Dean.
So, did the trash start stinking, or was it the patrons who went?
It could have been a healthy mix of both.
Okay.
There was a lot of Axe body spray covering up things there.
my goodness.
Did they throw it on the trash too?
Possibly so.
The Jared's like, screw it, just throw some Axe over it.
Yeah.
All right.
This
But
is
no,
like
that
a
was-
cybersecurity convention.
So a lot
right
more.
now,
But was fun had at this? Did you?
Yeah,
was it more
blast.
aggravating?
Yeah, we had a really good time. The highlight of our trip is we were at the hotel bar, which is always the place to be at one of these things, I guess.
Okay.
And we were wrapping up about midnight, and the Undertaker happened to walk into the bar.
No kidding.
And
No
The
way.
Undertaker walked
so
in.
I nudged Heath, and I said, "Hey, there's the Undertaker."
You woke him up?
And unfortunately, Heath cannot see with glasses, and he kind of looked around, and then finally he saw him. And Brandon and Danny both basically looked like they had saw Christ walk in. They froze, just dead.
It's time, you guys.
And
The rapture has occurred.
I told him, I was like, "Hey, get up there, go buy him a drink."
Yeah.
He walked
Yeah.
in with 2 young guys and an older guy, and
How tall is Undertaker?
but probably 6'9", I
He's
think.
tall.
He's
Kinda
legitimate.
unmistakable, right?
You can't miss him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
unless you're Heath.
right. So anyway, Heath can't grab his ass with both hands. So nobody would get up to buy him a drink. So I walked up to the bar and said, "Hey, give me a double shot of Jack." And the guy that was standing there, the older guy, looked at him, and I said, "Hey, will you give this to him?" And he's like, "No, I can't do that." And I was like, "Well, why not?" He's like, "Well, I offered to buy him a drink. He said he didn't want anything." And I said, "Well, do you mind if I?" When I said that, he looked at me and I said, "Here you go." He said, "Thank you, sir." I went and sat down. Before I sat down, I realized the old guy that was with him was Tim White, who was a retired referee from the WWF.
Oh wow.
And I said, "Hey, Mr. White, it's good to see you." And he was very pleasant. He was like, "Oh, so nice to see you too. I think he was kind of surprised that I even knew who he was.
Yeah.
So I went and sat back down. When I sat back down, there were 3 girls also hanging out the bar. No relation to us, I assure you. And they got up and went and talked to the Undertaker.
Of course.
Took pictures. Once they finished, the 3 amigos all filed up there like they were meeting Santa Claus in the mall, and shook his hand and just came back and orgasmed everywhere. So that by far was the highlight of the trip, because the Undertaker was charging like, I think, $225
I know.
to do the meet and greet and stuff. So they got to meet him. Didn't get a picture, but they still got this really cool story.
Yeah.
And
Buy him a drink.
and then the sad part of this is the next day, Tim White died.
What? Literally the day before he died.
Yep.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
Sorry to break it to you, man.
Just what was?
Well, I mean, he had been in
Heart
poor
attack?
health for a while, so I don't know
no.
what. I don't think they've.
But how great that you gave
Did-
him
did-
that moment of recognition and
Yeah,
gratitude.
I felt good about that.
That you
Literally
got
the
to
day
see
he
him
died.
the night before. Yeah.
Wow.
And it turns out the 2 guys that was with him, because we were talking to the bartender the next night, she said were the Undertaker's kids. So his kids are like 6'4", 6'5".
Oh wow.
2 of his boys. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. That's man. Well, that's sad, but wild story that you got
Yeah.
to meet him.
So-
wow.
That was the highlight of it. My question: what was the initial purchase reason for this? Like, a lot of times there is a particular celebrity or 2 that you're like, oh, I have to meet this person. They're like on death's door. You didn't know it, but he was.
Right.
Or there's somebody who draws you in. Was it just the fact that you wanted to go to Comic-Con, or because you always do, or because was
Yeah,
there a
it's more of
particular
like a
somebody?
group.
It's a tradition.
Yeah,
thing.
like we like to
Okay.
go and just to see all the stuff you get to see at Comic Con. And for me,
You can only see at Comic-Con usually. Like,
Well,
there are
yeah,
so many unique things there.
right? It's a spectacle. It's kind of like going to a casino, but it's for nerds.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of scenery. But for me, my experience on any time you ever spend money to meet someone, there is no return on that investment. So I'd much rather, if I see somebody that I've know who they are from TV, I'm much rather just buy them a drink and validate that and have
Yeah.
that story than stand in line and spend a lot of money and be just the next cow in line to be branded.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay, I
Good
gotcha.
take. Good take.
Any other adventures?
Well, I mean, we went on our normal adventures of we ate a lot of sushi. Heath Futch and I split a.
Was that the hotel bar too?
No, it
worse
was
and
not.
worse, so
It
it's
was
like-
not. We actually went to a sushi bar that was
Whoa!
quite good.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
Heath have to MapQuest it to?
No, we did take an Uber who got lost.
No.
So that was a little bit of an adventure.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, we did our normal stuff. We did guy stuff.
Good.
So yeah, and I got to see one of my buddies that lives in Dallas, Cass. You're a good
Oh
friend.
yeah, no, I know Cass. Yeah.
Yeah, and we went
He's a good
to
guy.
a place called Lava Cantina and saw a Guns N' Roses tribute band and
Always fun.
had a good time there and
How's Cass?
charming as ever.
And there you go.
Still got good hair.
Hey, hey.
That's important.
Yeah.
So overall, successful trip, you'd say?
Yeah. Yeah.
But glad to see everybody, like the regular population of people there.
Yeah, I thought that was the best sign of things. It was just you could tell so many people wanted to be out and doing things. It was just I think that they oversold the venue.
Clearly.
And I'm not saying that the staff did a bad job. I just don't think they could have done a good job with the amount of traffic.
In my
yeah.
in my experience, because we used to go a while
Yeah.
back and we stopped because the guy that runs it, I'm not really a big fan of. He,
Same
you know,
thing
like
here.
when you told me about the trash running over and stuff, or in our experience, not their fault. They the people who were running the event, helping out with the event coordinators, chickens with their heads cut off, basically just like throwing, I mean, literally doing shoulder
They're kind of
shrugs to each other
overwhelmed.
because they don't know and they weren't properly trained.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault, but in a way, chaos ruled.
I think that's pretty standard.
And this
at
is
the
back to
conventions
back.
like that, though, because
And-
like when I worked at the New Orleans Convention Center, I worked with the convention, with the event planners, and they hated it when Comic-Con showed up.
And I understand some things are beyond your control, like if they oversell a venue and stuff like that, that's not their fault. But at the same time, I have seen well-run conventions.
Seen it done right.
True, some have been doing it for a long time. Some have not been doing it at all that long, but they have been to other ones and they've taken notes and they've streamlined it. And what I was seeing was Dallas Comic-Con was not getting better, yet these newer ones that had been open up for just a couple of years had got down to a science.
Wow.
And of course, I can talk about things like Dragon Con, which they do, like, I mean, they have analytics and it's like Moneyball for them. They see how many buildings they need for next year, and I mean, it doesn't stop bottlenecking and all the crowds, but they do their best to organize as much as they can. Dallas should be able to do that, and I'm not.
I don't feel
down
like
on
that. I thought everything was well coordinated. I don't have any issues with that.
That's fine.
I just feel like they had so many people on Saturday. There's, when humans are
that's
humans,
always a big day.
That's true.
Yeah, so they just
Saturday morning.
they
especially.
I'm telling you.
It's the best. I'm sorry.
yeah. Hey, is this thing on? Have I mentioned Saturday morning camouflage today? Hey guys, I don't mean to do a run in.
Keyword, whenever you're an actor, you're a player, you have
I'm
your
telling
cue
you.
line and you just hear it and you have to say it every time.
It's a reflex.
Sorry.
Acid. So, I would recommend going to Dallas Comic Con.
Okay.
I've always had a good time.
That's just why we stopped going.
yeah.
And plus, if you mention, say, hey, AC was out, or people were jumping queues all day long, why wasn't this being stopped? The owner would just say, that didn't happen. You're lying.
That's called
Or it's not my
gaslighting.
fault.
Gaslighting, by the way.
And that's what he would do
That's
to
what
every
my therapist
complaint that
told
would
me.
be. He'd ask for feedback, and he wanted to hear good things, but any complaint he just spun.
Forget it.
So I was like, this guy, nope, there's plenty of cons out there, and he's not going to get my money. Now, could it have changed since the past, 8 years or something since we've been? Absolutely. So, but I'm glad you had a good time. Any other highlights?
Who was the big draw?
Who was the big?
sales?
Probably Undertaker.
He was one
He
of
doesn't
them.
make
I mean,
many
they had
appearances.
so many. They had everyone from
Whose picture was in the
Dexter.
middle of the poster.
They had Dexter.
Yeah, they had
team.
the staff.
Okay, that's good.
A
That's
lot
big one.
of Lord of the Rings.
Okay, those are always big
That's true,
draws.
it's coming back.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a huge thing. It was huge.
How many other Comic Cons have you been to outside of Dallas?
I went to New York Comic Con in 2011,
Wow.
and then before that, it was very much like smaller type stuff
Okay.
around. Nothing major.
Would you say Dallas Comic Con is your favorite one then, since you keep going back to it?
Well, I mean, it's close. It's close enough for a drive. It's
Right.
not a flight.
What if travel was no issue? Would New York beat it out, or
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, by far.
Okay.
I mean,
more fun in New York than any other?
Well, I'm just saying New York
fine.
was giant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's New York City.
I'm not.
It's like saying.
Well, I'm just talking about the con. Anything that outside
no,
the con,
I'm
I'm not.
that's what I mean.
Oh, okay,
Like,
okay.
I thought everything that they had at New York Comic Con, and that was, like I said, now 11 years ago.
Still though, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
It's always been a big one.
What about for you? Has there been a convention in the past? You talk about New Orleans because you were in New Orleans, and that's why
I
you
lived in
probably
New
went to that
Orleans,
one.
and I worked in the convention center, so I could literally sneak into the con. Like, I got dressed in my costume in my office, and then just took the service elevator down one floor and walked out.
That's funny.
And like I was on the floor.
Yeah.
And
I'm
I
taking my lunch break
I had
now.
2 lanyards over my neck, one of my work employee badge and one of my Comic-Con badge.
That's
and
funny.
I basically was allowed through every single door in the building, and it was fantastic.
That is nice.
So, I mean, that was a lot of fun. I think I had more fun just because it was such an insider kind of thing. And I literally, if I needed a break, I went upstairs to my office
Yeah.
and like took a nap or sat down for a second, or
Yeah.
showed,
Charge your cell phone, whatever.
showed around,
Unload your
hot chick, said,
goods.
this is where I work. Something like that.
Gave them
Yeah.
the backstage pass.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Backstage tours for free, that kind of thing.
Oh.
So,
Did you get that service in Dallas?
We don't have to go into
I
that.
didn't have that lanyard.
No, that was fun. But I went to the very first Salt Lake City Comic Con. It's now a big deal. It's like it was the second. It's the second. It's one of the biggest ones, and it was when Stan Lee was there, and he was the big draw, and that was such a good moment. And we've talked about that a lot. Where how he walked down the aisle and the sea just parted and started to clap, and it was magnificent.
So what's the best Comic Con you've been to? Where?
Salt Lake City, I think.
Salt Lake City.
Yeah, I really do think that Salt Lake Comic Con is the best one I've ever done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
I think for a lot of reasons. All the logistics, like Wes was just talking about, like the logistics worked. There were a lot of people, especially on Saturday morning. It's always packed, of course, and it gets hot, and people are people.
Shameless plug.
Thank you. And you just go into a certain amount of expectation to realize that Saturday is going to be nuts. But outside of that gigantic, hectic moment, like everything just worked. It's kind of like the opposite of the Kenobi series that we talked about. It didn't work. A lot of it just was thrown together, and you hope that it works. And I feel like a lot
much
of
anger in him, like his father.
That's true. I'm turning to the dark side straight up after that show. But a lot of things you can throw in, like, okay, we need a checklist. We need maintenance. We need lines and people to watch the lines, and we need actors, and we need the talent to come in at this time, and this and that, and it's down to a science, like you say, with analytics at Dragon Con. And it's like Kenobi, they threw in a bunch of stuff and hoped it worked. This Comic Con, I've been to Comic Cons where they just throw in all the things that they say they're supposed to have, but God, does it not work. And it just is a bad experience all around for everybody, not just me,
right?
Everybody. And then there's some that just really flow, and Salt Lake was like that. It's huge, but they knew what they were doing, and it all flowed.
Okay. I will say this, going back to Dallas Comic Con, one of the things that, because Megan and I did a podcast years ago when we were doing Comic Cons, and we kind of ranked our favorite Comic Cons. That was high on Megan's, Dallas was, and mainly we kind of just pinpointed where it was shined, and it was in the vendors. I thought there were a lot of good vendors who were willing to make deals.
That's a good point.
With
Salt Lake
people
had that too, yeah, all that.
and make
That's
profits. Yeah, is that still? You
don't
don't deal much with the vendors?
No. I mean, we buy stuff,
okay.
But I don't think there's. I think the market has changed so much in the past 2 years.
That's fair.
That they're not there
no one's there it's there
to pay for their
money.
Table for the.
Oh no, I understand. I understand that.
Yeah, so
I understand that, and I still
now maybe
think,
in 2 more years when all this evens itself back out, like I think it will, it'll be back to normal.
Yeah, no, that's a good point too.
Yeah.
But Megan got, and maybe it's just because it's Megan got a ton of good deals.
Those always helps take a girl with you.
That's true.
That's why they take me.
Yep, there you go. All right, yeah. So
even on Saturday
morning.
No,
look,
I haven't. Now
he baited me.
Now there was a Mississippi one that is happening. Well, just happened, I guess, this weekend.
Yes.
Do you know anyone that went?
No, that's the one we went to last year,
and that was terrible because they totally mismanaged it.
Right, and we stood outside in line
hours.
Yes,
because no one knew what they were doing,
and the line wasn't moving, and you have a lot of rotund humans.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it was
okay. Do you know anyone who went?
No, I do not.
I don't either. It's weird because that's closer. That's closer than Dallas for us.
Much closer.
And an easy straight shot on the highway too. It's not like it's take a bunch of turns and stuff. So
I thought it was a good call that you stayed in the hotel though in Dallas, because like if anybody's on the fence about going to a con and you're like, oh, but the one it's at the hotel, but
it's worth
like
the extra hundreds a night. Yeah,
like,
it's worth it.
God, it's worth $1,000 more.
If you're gonna walk
they're
around
dealing with
with
traffic,
yeah, costumes and merchandise that you're buying,
it's priceless.
Yeah,
I always
and to if you need to go defecate and you don't have to do it in the public. If you're into that kind of thing,
you can either come to my
that
office.
That means take a dump if you don't understand what that means. Which, luckily, the guys I went with are pros at. They definitely have their backstage pass.
We've lost Matt for a minute. You started talking about poop, so we might need to pause for station identification here.
Hello, but no.
Yes, flatulence.
You're listening to KMA.
The only con that I still attend from time to time, or the most recent one was the Board Game Geek Convention, and I do stay in the hotel where it is, just because of that convenience that you talked about. And for years, we didn't do that because it's
Yeah,
so much
it's so
cheaper
much cheaper.
to get something that even has a bus.
Not
I
worth
would
it.
do one because it had a shuttle bus that took us to Dragon Con. I went, well, then if it has a shuttle bus, but at the same time, nothing would be like if you were right in there. And now I know that now.
Yeah.
Now I know that now. But
Tip of the podcast.
yeah, because the first time we went, I had to do the driving thing. I was like, no, this sucks. And then hotels started getting smart and saying, hey, we'll give a free shuttle bus to the. Oh, well, that's different. But it's still not the same as being in the hotel, which now I know is the best place
Yeah,
to go.
it's like going to see a show. If you're going to go to a show at a casino,
Because
spend the money and get a room.
yeah, well, as you're walking the floor and doing stuff, you're tired. And if you don't live in the hotel, you're sitting in the hallway, you're sitting on the floor, you're not grabbing, there's no seats available. So you're sitting on the floor, which is very uncomfortable, which is
Especially
no
when
fun.
you're old, crippled up old men.
Exactly. But when you have your own hotel room, you go upstairs and you can sit in a nice room that doesn't have people shoulder to shoulder with.
And maybe take
You
a
can-
shower.
You can unload if you bought something heavy. It's not digging
Depends
into
on who
your.
you brought up to the room
You
with.
can. Well,
I mean, you might need a shower.
did you have an office shower?
Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Stop. That's it.
I'm
That's
sorry,
good.
I've got a lot of things
That's
I could say
good.
about that. We'll
All
just
right.
leave it.
Wow.
I'm done. I'm done.
Was it a very dirty con?
Yeah. Sorry. It was. You asked me point blank.
All right.
I'm done.
This is pre-pandemic times when social distancing was not quite as important.
This is very pre-pandemic. Yeah, it was.
I don't know where to go with this. So I'm trying to find something to change the subject to. But all right. So
You're intrigued. Appalled.
let me ask you this question, both of you, and I'll start with Wes. Is there someone you would love to meet at a con that you just haven't seen yet, or did show up and you haven't seen show up to a con since?
Mark Hamill was at the New York Comic Con,
Ouch.
and I didn't get to see him.
Okay, so like to see Mark. Mark Hamill's a name I do not see that much.
Yeah, I think he's
Even-
kind of
This is even before Disney bought Star Wars. He
Yeah.
wasn't doing the con scene.
Yeah, I didn't.
And he was there, huh?
Yep.
Wow.
Wow.
Do you regret it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's someone like that. It's hard to get
Yeah, he's a rare. He doesn't
a
go.
hold of. Yeah.
But it's the same point. Like when you meet people like that, they're like you kind of grew up with. Like
Do you know I got his?
it would be a little overpowering.
I
think.
got him.
It is a little, I think.
Yeah, I got his and Carrie Fisher's autograph back in the day
No
when
good.
you could still write into them, and they'd send you an 8x10.
What?
Now, of course, they pre-signed. I mean,
Sure.
they just did a bunch of things. But that was back in the day when cons weren't going on,
Sure.
and you could write to these people, and they would, if you did self-addressed stamped envelope. And there's still a few actors you can
places
It's
do
like a
that
fan
for.
club kind of
There's a
thing.
lot
You
of
can do-
places you can, like, I know a guy in New Orleans who, he was one of the convention event planners for the convention center down there, and he does that. He's got an entire gigantic collection of send-off self-addressed
I did see this really cool
envelopes.
10 years of Star Wars poster from 77 to 87 that was a Lucasfilm
Oh.
fan club exclusive that had a ton of
Signatures.
autograph
Nice.
signatures on
That's
it.
nice.
Harrison Ford was not on there.
No, he never is.
So, but anyway, it was a very cool looking poster. So it's probably, I'm sure people that listen to this podcast have seen it, but
Oh.
it's a very cool poster.
But I used to write in because way in the early days of the internet, they had those addresses.
Oh, yeah. They
Where
still
you could go in and so I say, well, I'm going to go for it. And
do. Sure enough.
Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill both returned them. Harrison Ford burned mine, used it for fuel for his fire. And I want to say I sent another one out, but I think I just sent those 3 out, and 2 of them came back, and I was over the moon.
Of course.
This is the early mid-'90s, and I was like, oh my
amazing.
gosh, it worked. Well, remember a long time ago in How Succeed, I told you Robert Morses has the same thing. You can send him the 8x10, and he'll...
Oh, I know.
yeah, and I was going to
forgot,
send him the program
Oh, no
and have him
way.
autograph it, but
Oh.
unfortunately it never happened. So
Didn't get to happen.
there goes my...
was-
I need to get his autograph now that I think about it.
That was Matt's COVID tragedy, is that you finally get the dream role you've wanted for a long time on stage, and then COVID canceled it. And I know so
The
many
week
actors,
of.
The week of. I know so many actors who their show, they got like their dream role and cast, and then it just shut down that week, and it was like, oh,
Star
yeah!
only starring role because I do
Yeah,
not
the
want
only
to be the
starring role
star.
they'd ever wanted.
But I
And
said I would do the star in this one, and so that was going to be the time. But that's okay.
ripped out from underneath. But anyway.
Yeah.
So that's great.
But no, I was just saying that if there was someone that does it and doesn't doesn't do it anymore. Not that they're dead. I mean, obviously, someone may say Stan Lee or
course.
something, but someone. What about you? Was there someone that you'd like to see at a Comic Con that you haven't?
Like, I would love to see any of the Star Wars folks and stuff, but I like what Wes said too about how sometimes the people are just larger than life, and you meet them, and it just isn't quite. I don't know. Like meeting William Shatner was just a surreal sort of experience, you know.
Right.
And because he's so big, and he doesn't care about anybody or anything. That he's just William Shatner, and it's I don't know. It puts a surreal stamp on it, and I don't know what to say. But I love the moments like quiet Sundays or late Fridays when the actors are there and they're just kind of by themselves. Like I got to go up and talk to Christopher Lloyd just because there was nobody at his table, and he was just closing up. He's like packing up his stuff and ready to go. I got to go say hi to Doc, you know, and it was a fantastic little moment. And I got to say the same thing to Jewel State and a handful of others. Like people who I really am so happy I got to
Timing
chat
is
with.
everything.
And like the timing is everything. But like people I didn't even get in their autograph, but I liked having those quick. I didn't get Christopher Lloyd's autograph.
Yeah, I mean,
but I loved chatting with him like that and telling him how much I appreciate it.
I did the same thing with John DeLance. No
really?
one was talking. I said, why is no one talking
How's
to
nobody
Q?
talking to him right now? Yeah.
I mean, Picard season 2 wasn't even around back then. I know why you won't talk to him
no
now.
one had
but,
any reason to hate him back then.
Yeah. But no, for me, it'd be Nathan Fillion, because this is the last straw from Dallas for me, was they advertised him, but he had canceled. But he didn't
Still
want.
advertised him?
They still advertised him, and then the day of, they said he wasn't going to be there. I said, that is a lie. And I said, well, can we get refund? No, they weren't doing refunds now, but I bet anything. They knew that ahead of time, and they did not want to give out refunds, so they kept that to the day of. And the reason why I want him so much is because we have every member of Firefly, even the one that passed away. We got Shepard's autograph.
You have the DVD set.
We have the DVD set, and there's a joke. It's all addressed to Megan.
Yeah.
Because
And you were the one
Megan
who did
did
it.
not want to go to Comic-Con with me. I went to, which one was it first? Jane. Is that Adam Baldwin? Yeah. And so I went up to him. Megan was not, like just sitting there like this. And so we started talking. And all the cast of Firefly that we met are unbelievably kind.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievably
Everyone
kind
I've
people.
met in Firefly is unbelievably kind. Yeah.
They're unbelievably kind. Summer Glau, Megan was too tired to stay in line for Summer, and so I did. And I said, can you address it to Megan? She looked at me and went, well, I said, for my wife. She went, oh, where is she? I said, she's sitting down. She's very tired. I said, she couldn't stay in this long line. She went, oh, well, okay, well, let's go see her. And got up and walked with me to the far end wall and talked to her for a little bit and thanked her for coming out and hope she knows that standing in line is really tough and everything, and signed it right there for her. And I was like, the whole joke is Adam Baldwin, it was from me, and he goes, all right. He said, all right, so I do this. He said, what's your name, sugar? And she goes, Megan. He goes, all right, to Megan. I was like, wait, whoa, this is my DVD
It
set.
always helps to bring a girl.
But, well, and all of them, Jewel Sate and the doctor, really,
I can't remember his name now.
really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked to him. We were the first in line for him, and he said, do you mind if I take a minute here? I said, take as much as you want. And we started talking to him while he was setting up and everything, and he was just the nicest. And there's really not. That's the other thing. Have you talked to any of these celebrities that you find nice? Would you say are nice?
I think, like you said, the timing of it is.
It is.
I mean, if they're doing
If they're
a meet and
busy,
greet
they're
and
doing
there's
the thing,
a
yeah.
line of people,
Don't expect much.
I
right?
don't think.
I'll be fair. Jason David Frank was our friend for a short time.
yeah,
like
the
recognized
Power
us
Ranger, right?
because
Yeah.
we started going to cons that he was going to, and he recognized Megan. He's like, "Hey, y'all from
He
Louisiana?"
recognized Megan.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
How about
didn't.
that?
He didn't recognize
How
you.
about
I
that?
wasn't around.
What?
But then
does
later
that
on,
reference?
I know. Okay.
Not Saturday morning
That's
camouflage.
there you go.
Always bring a pretty girl.
There you go. But
Two recurring themes in this.
I'm telling you what. But Ray Parks was really nice too.
He was great. Like I met him working with little kids. Like any little kid would come up. He would spend 5-10 minutes just with this kid, showing him karate moves or whatever he does. What does he do? Kung fu.
Yeah.
And just he would go through the whole thing with him. Choreography.
I got his autograph the next day. I was walking by, and he called out to me, and he held the line, and he had me come back behind the table, and we talked because he was at he was in costume, he said, so he didn't want to be mugged. But he saw me at there was a Kung Fu movie thing where the Kung Fu master showed up, And Ray Parks was there in incognito, in costume, because he
nice.
didn't want to be rushed. He said, "Hey, I saw you at the thing." He said, "What did you think of Master Son?" He said, "Do you know who he is?" I said, "Well, yeah, he was the actor in the film." He's like, "No, he is a respected master in there." My He's like, "I got to talk to him afterwards." I said, "Wait, you were there?" He said, "Yeah, I was dressed up." He said, "I didn't want to be rushed." He said, "But." He said, I had a feeling, I heard he was in town. I said, well, he's probably going to come for that screening of that movie. And he did. And he said, I just thought it was awesome to see him. And he started talking to me about martial arts and everything. Like, we were just best of friends. I was just happy I was sitting there. And that was when, this is the big story, Bruce ran into Rob Zombie, who was giving out tickets for Devil's Rejects. The premiere.
Dang.
The whole thing was he was inviting 1,000 or 100 fans to get on the bus and watch it with him. Come with him on the red carpet. And so he said, "How many you need, bud?" He said, "What?" Bruce goes, "Well, I got a buddy." He went, "All right, here you go." He said, "You got to get on the bus in an hour or whatever because we're leaving." And Bruce was like, and he kept calling me, but I was talking to Ray Parker. I was like, "I'm not answering this phone. I'm talking to Ray. I'm not going to, Ray, I'm sorry. This is my buddy here." But I didn't know that Bruce went to the
This
premiere.
is El Diablo.
I know, but so there's some incredibly nice people that you can find, and then there's jerks.
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, I'm so happy that I got to sit and talk to Peter Mayhew and had that kind of a moment with him before he died too. And it was so lovely to sit there and chat with him. And he was sitting next to who was
He died the week that we were going to Comic-Con in 2019.
Oh,
he died
man.
like days before that. They had a big memorial that
Oh,
year.
really?
For
Yeah.
him. Yeah, it was really
Oh.
good.
In Dallas?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was wonderful to talk to. And I called you from that was the Salt Lake City Comic Con. I was like, Matt,
Oh, okay.
Darth Vader's sitting next to Chewbacca, and I don't know who to go talk to first. And you're like, go talk to both of them.
Yeah.
You know, and then I got all three of us in a conversation. It was me, I was Chewbacca on my right, and Darth Vader on my left. And it was fantastic. What was the bodybuilder's name who did Darth
David
Vader?
Prowse.
David Prowse. And I'm so happy that I got to see them. And I had a beautiful conversation about how much they all hate reality television and how much they've approached Peter Mayhew with so many different pitches for reality TV, and he's always chased them off with his gigantic fists that he had.
Yeah.
He was a huge man.
Yeah.
It was great. He shook
Well,
my
he
hand.
got-
I felt like a child.
Well, remember how he got the job? George Lucas walked in. He stood up to shake his hand. George goes, "Hired."
I didn't know
Just
that.
because George looked up at him.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
He got hired just because he was sitting down. He stood up to shake George's hand and introduce himself. And George
I guess
goes,
size does matter, Yoda.
Oh, shoot. Oh, that's a mic drop. Oh,
yeah. All
come
right,
on.
that's it. We're ending it there. All right, folks. We'll see you next time on Princes of the Universe.